My entitled father-in-law causes his family to go bankrupt in less than 3 months, as he fell for multiple scams where he gave out all of his banking and financial information to scammers who were claiming to be investors. And I'm honestly blown away by how idiotic and stupid my father-in-law truly was. Here's what happened. So my father-in-law not only lost all his family's money, but also went deep into debt in under 3 months. He first fell for a weird investment scheme. He invested 500 euros on some website that claimed to be able to multiply his investment in just a few weeks. After watching some fake numbers on a fake website rise to astronomical heights, he decided to invest 50,000 euros and then another 50,000 euros on top of that. When his supposed investment had skyrocketed to a 7-figure number, he tried to withdraw it but found himself unable to do so. The investment company then contacted him and told him they would gladly send him his money. But since this is an international transfer, he needs to put forward 5,000 euros to cover transfer fees and taxes, which he unfortunately gladly did. A week after, they emailed him again and tried to tell him that his 5,000 euros did not cover the whole fee and that they needed more. Now, instead of sending more money, he decided to put his foot down and demanded that they send his money immediately. Well, they called him back, telling him that all they needed were his bank details. So he literally gave them his card numbers, his online login, and even gave them his 2-factor authentication code several times. Now, instead of giving him his millions, he got his savings and his bank accounts completely drained, and they went down literally as far as they will go. Since my father-in-law is kind of entitled, and he really likes to brag about how much credit he has available, this meant that he was down almost 50,000 euros. When he found himself unable to literally pay for anything, and his bank desperately calling him, he went to the bank manager who almost had a heart attack. He ended up going to the police to file a report. He closed his accounts and got a new credit for the overdraft and got a new non-compromised account. 2 weeks later, some random guy called him out of the blue and claimed to be an international fraud investigator and offered to pursue his scammers to get his millions for him. All he needed to get started was a 3,000 euro fee, which my father-in-law gladly paid. The guy then sent him mail demanding more money since the job unexpectedly turned out harder than anticipated. Well, my father-in-law refused and demanded the investigator do the job he was already hired for. Well, the investigator then contacted him again and said he had managed to secure his millions, but all this guy needed was his bank details. So he literally again gave away his card numbers, his online login, and 2-factor authentication codes to his new account to some random guy on the phone, who, by the way, barely even spoke his language. And he did this for the second time, and once again, his bank account gets drained. He literally went from having 320,000 euros in his retirement fund to being almost negative 50,000 euros in debt in about 3 months. So you might be wondering, where are we now? Well, the only reason he hasn't entered literal bankruptcy yet is all because his wife has her finances all completely separate from him. And now she has to fund their entire life while his monthly pension payments get almost completely garnished to pay off his debt. We also spoke to a lawyer and they told us that he is completely on the hook for all the lost money and any accrued debt because there is no judge in this nation that would not consider him at the very least grossly negligent for what he did. And you know what? My father-in-law still believes that he made millions. Wow, that is actually insane. Like, this guy is seriously not safe with his money. He went from having 320,000 euros in his retirement fund to being in the negative 50,000 euros. Like, this guy should not be handling any kind of money. That is seriously such a stupid investment, and I can't believe he wouldn't have vetted these sources just a little bit more instead of going from 500 euros all the way up to 50,000 euros. Like, that seriously is such a bad call. So unfortunately, he's probably never getting that money back, but hopefully this never happens again, because clearly your father-in-law cannot be trusted with money. And for the sake of you and your family, I hope he doesn't get his hands on any sizable amount anytime soon. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I the jerk for blocking my grandmother after she refused to apologize for bringing up family drama? Because right now I'm seriously upset, and at this point I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So my grandmother and I had an argument again we had last year. We were vacationing together and had a great time for the most part, but she kept bringing up how burdensome my mom is in her life. Now, for reference, my grandmother fully financially supports her, and she says that she feels obligated to since she is her daughter. Now, I haven't had any real ties to my mom since I was 15. She would be homeless now without my grandmother as she refuses to work, and she spends all of her time with shady people who get her evicted from the places that my grandmother rents for her. My family has all advised my grandmother to let her fall on her own, and I myself say it every single time she talks to me about the latest difficulty she has with my mother, but she just says that she can't do that. Well, I raised my voice after asking her to please talk about anything else, because I'm honestly so tired of this. I don't control my mom, and I am fully aware of what a basket case she is. It just brings me down to hear about it, and I would rather not. And for a while after that, she stopped bringing it up. Well, my father passed away a little less than 2 years ago, and I was with her the other day, and she wouldn't stop telling me the same story that she's told me a few times before. In 2013, my dad had an agreement with my grandmother, and it stated that grandma and grandpa will pay for most of their mortgage if they can handle the rest. She frames the story as a mistake that ruined her life, and how if not for that, everything would be so much better right now. But I was 13 when that happened. I couldn't fix it as I wasn't really aware of it either. I also can't do anything about it now, and the fact that he's passed away makes it more hurtful to me. So I told her, please stop complaining about my family when we hang out. It won't help and we can't fix it. Well, she refused, stating that it was family history and she was just stating facts. But I told her that I've heard it all before, and this is the third time this exact same story has been told to me since he passed away. I told her the story is boring and uninteresting to me. I mean, she never even says anything bad about my uncle, who's had a divorce that I never even learned about. I was angry, so my voice was raised, and I told her to tell me that story, but she said she had no idea. But she and my uncle are and always have been very close. I just find it unbelievable that any mother who's not estranged wouldn't know why her son had a divorce. I called her a liar because I was upset at this point, and I was plugging my ears to get her to see that I wasn't interested in continuing the conversation, especially when it's about my late father. But regardless, she still persisted. She texted me saying that she can't sleep and how I should not have attacked my uncle. I told her I didn't say anything bad about him. I just wanted to know that history instead, and the way she's framing it is not fair because it's actually new information to me. I said to her that she should be ashamed to talk bad about my father who's passed away, and if she won't apologize, I will block her. Well, she refused, and then wrote this entire paragraph about how she isn't ashamed and did her best and listed all the ways that she's helped out. She then finished that by saying, "So the ball's in your court," and as a result, I just blocked her. So honestly, am I the jerk in this situation? What should I do? Honestly, I don't think you're the jerk at all. I think what you asked of your grandmother is completely reasonable, because from the sounds of it, it really seems like she wants to take out all of her problems about your dad on you. That's the only reason she's bringing it up every time you guys spend time together. And that's really toxic and really not fair. Like, you are not responsible for any deals that your dad made with your grandmother, and it's really weird for her to take it out on you in some kind of way, because honestly, that's the way it feels. So no, I don't think you're the jerk, because it really seems like your grandma is being obnoxious. And I know if I was in your shoes, I would probably feel the exact same way. My girlfriend blatantly breaks my laptop screen and is now refusing to not only take any responsibility for it, but she's also refusing to pay anything towards fixing it. And right now, as a result, I am incredibly frustrated because at this point, I really don't know what to do. Here's what happened. I live with my partner, and we have been together for around 3 years. Recently, I've noticed when she's tidying some things away, she places them on my laptop, and I've asked her if she would not do that as she's putting quite heavy objects on it, and I don't want my laptop to get damaged. She said it'll be fine and to stop worrying about it, but I just asked her again to please not do it. Well, she didn't listen, and she kept doing it, and each time I noticed, I would remove the items. Well, I went to use my laptop, and half of the screen just has thick lines through it, so the laptop is completely unusable. I told my girlfriend this, and I told her it's because she keeps piling things on top of it. Well, she once again said that it's fine, and that I can just get a new one, but I told her I expect her to replace it, since she's the one who broke it. She said it was an accident, but I pointed out that she repeatedly ignored me when I told her not to put things on it, so I expect her to get me a replacement. Well, she refused, and said that I could just use hers when she's not using it, but I said no. I should have my own laptop, and she should replace it, since she's the one who damaged it. She got annoyed and said I shouldn't be expecting her to pay for it, since it's my laptop, and she would have to use some of her savings. I told her it's her own fault, and that I need a replacement. Well, she said that I was being unreasonable just by asking her to spend some of her savings, but I think I'm being completely reasonable, especially when she's the one who broke it. So honestly, does anyone have any advice on how to handle this situation? Because at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Okay, for starters, it really seems like your girlfriend is the reason your laptop broke. And I know exactly the problem you're having because this happened to me as well. Sometimes if you put heavy stuff on the back of a closed laptop, it can permanently mess up the screen. And I know the lines that you're talking about and all of that. And that is really frustrating and it is very expensive to fix. But it honestly makes me wonder if just fixing the screen would be cheaper than buying a brand new laptop altogether. I'm not sure what kind of laptop you have, so hopefully it's like reasonable, but there might be some kind of middle ground where you're like, okay, you don't have to like change out the entire laptop, but at least pay for the repairs or something like that. And of course, that's at least compared to like if it would be cheaper to just buy a new laptop compared to fixing the screen, because sometimes that is the case. It's all relative to the type of laptop you get, but the main punchline is that yes, your girlfriend is on the hook for this. I find this to be a completely reasonable expectation, and the fact that she's unwilling to even take responsibility for it, in my opinion, is a giant red flag, and that is not something I would personally take lightly. This next story came from the Am I the Jerk subreddit. Check the links in the description if you would like to submit your own story. My grandma always complains about my condo, as she states that it's absolutely disgusting. But after receiving these comments one too many times, I'm seriously at my breaking point, and I now don't know what to do. Here's what happened. I'm a 26-year-old female, and I've been living in my own place since 2020. Like any responsible adult, I did my best to keep my place clean. My skills aren't exactly professional level, but neither I nor my guests saw anything wrong with how my condo looked. However, things changed during my first holiday season in my current job. For context, I've been working at a certain retail store since 2022. It should go without saying that retail can be pretty exhausting, especially during the holidays. But despite the long, busy hours during that time, I made sure that my condo didn't become a pigsty. Now, I have a grandmother who sometimes comes to visit me. I don't know how to say this, but my grandma is a clean freak. In the beginning, I'd never heard her complain about how my condo looked. But during my first holiday season at my current job, my grandmother started to complain about how messy my condo was. As I mentioned before, I didn't have as much energy to clean my condo during the holiday season, just like I would on any other day. But at the same time, it's not like I had garbage all over the floor or anything like that. There's usually something small, like a bit of dust on the shelves or a few strands of hair in the sink, but honestly, that's it. Every time my grandmother came over, she complained about different things, like how the litter box smelled and that the bathroom wastebasket wasn't emptied. First off, cat litter smells weird regardless of how fresh it is, and there was even this one time when grandma complained about the smell, even though the litter was changed about 3 days prior, and it was free of any cat droppings at the time. As for the wastebasket, it was somewhere between 1/2 and 2/3 full when she complained about it, and I should also mention that the wastebasket didn't have a lid, and you could see inside of it. Yet for some reason, my grandma was appalled as if the thing was overflowing with trash. After months of hearing negative comments about my condo being disgusting, one incident made me reach my breaking point. It all started when the sink stopper in my bathroom sink got stuck, making it impossible to drain. I told grandma about it and she offered to come over to help. The moment she walked into the bathroom, grandma immediately started to complain about how dirty the bathroom was. She even started deep cleaning the bathroom, saying things like, "Oh my god, this is so gross." When she was done, my grandma told me that she hoped nobody saw my bathroom in that state, and it took every ounce of strength in me to not scream every profanity under the sun before kicking her out. The thing is, I have a neighbor who came over a few times to help out with things and she never commented on anything. I know for a fact that my condo is not poorly maintained as my grandma claims. Once during the holidays, the property manager came over with a plumber to inspect the pipes. It was nothing serious and it was just to make sure everything's in order. The property manager and I were chatting when I asked her how my condo looked, and surprisingly, she said that I did a good job of keeping it clean. She even promised to tell my landlady the same thing. So if this doesn't prove that I'm not a slob, then honestly nothing would. The most messed up thing about this is that the state of my condo is no different from before grandma's criticism started. In fact, neither she nor anyone else has said anything about how my condo looked until then. Growing up, I was always criticized for rather petty reasons and forced to live up to some unnecessary, if not ridiculous, standards. When I moved out of my parents' place, I thought that I didn't have to put up with that anymore. Yet here I am living with yet another cycle of BS demands and nobody caring about how they hurt me. Now, I will admit that my place isn't spotless, but unless my condo is dirty to the point where it actually bothers others as well as myself, I don't don't think it's fair to say that I don't clean enough, if at all, especially if it's coming from a clean freak like my grandmother. So honestly, am I the jerk in this situation? Because at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. First of all, I can see why your parents probably acted like weirdos when it comes to criticizing you about everything, because just look at the way their mother was acting towards you. Because it really seems like this was a cycle that started with your grandmother, and it's now trickled down to you even though you've moved out. So of course, you're definitely not the jerk, and it seems like your grandmother just does this to everybody. And I'm sure that your condo is completely fine. I'm sure it's clean just like anybody else's would be, and for her to imply that your place is a pigsty, in my opinion, is super rude, and that is not something that you should have to put up with. So if I was in your shoes, I would definitely tell her straight up that if she doesn't like my condo, then maybe she shouldn't come over, because her attitude towards it is really obnoxious, and you definitely do not deserve to be treated that way in the slightest. My father has been telling everyone for the past year how he's gonna pay for an extravagant wedding for me, but now he's refusing to pay for anything, and at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, I want to start off by saying that I'm not complaining because my dad doesn't want to pay for the wedding, but it's more that in our culture, the father usually pays, and he explicitly and many times over has told everyone, including my fiance's family, that he is going to do a crazy wedding for us. He regularly sends them pictures and videos of the crazy stuff he's going to pay for at the wedding. When me and him argue about what he pays me weekly working for him, he pretty much tells me to shut up and that I'm paying for your stupid wedding. And most of the time, that has won the argument. He knows on my salary I could never pay for my own wedding. My car insurance is $400 a month, and my health insurance is $300 a month. The truck I drive to do work for him costs in gas about $240 a month. I obviously go on dates with my fiance, and I eat out because most of the time I'm on the road, so if I'm lucky, I'm able to save about $1,000 a month. An average wedding here is about $30,000 to $40,000, so it would take me like 3 years just to save that. I have saved about $20,000, which is enough for me to move out, buy furniture, and put a security deposit, but I can't pay for a wedding and move out. But he just kept saying, oh, we'll see. I'll talk to the venue, I'll leave a deposit, but then he never does anything about it. The guy at the venue gave us a deadline till today, and if we don't do it, then he's gonna give our dates to somebody else. My fiance's family is getting annoyed and is now insisting we do the wedding overseas for about $3,000 to $5,000. When I told my dad, he got mad and said it would cost the family way more to buy tickets to go there. My fiance decided to go sit down and talk with him herself, but he spent the whole time trying to turn her on me. First, he told her that I take a lot of medications and order a lot of pills on Amazon, to which she responded that yes, he does order vitamins that he takes daily, as we do share an Amazon account. Then he says that I carry them around in a pill container, but she just said yes, I ordered that for him because he used to take them on an empty stomach, but this way it allows him to take them to work and take them after lunch. Then he said, well, you know, a few years ago, my son made me put $10,000 in a deposit for a girl he was engaged to for a wedding, so I'm honestly a little hesitant this time. For the record, he put down $4,000, even though my siblings who were there vouched for this, and he knows we broke it off because she was cheating on me. Then she asked him if he ever plans on giving me a raise because $600 a week for someone living on their own is realistically not enough. He just walked around the question. He then said, well, he's still learning and not doing enough work around here. But the thing is, there's not enough work because the business is dead. She then asked if he could help me find another job, to which he said that I need to help him. Now, I've been helping him for the past 10 years. I went from $400 a week all the way up to $600 a week right now, and I haven't had a raise in almost 5 years. I once got a job for $70,000 a year, and he got so mad that he all of a sudden wanted me to pay $2,000 a month to him for rent. He also wanted help with taxes at $500 a month, while also pushing car insurance and the truck onto me. But here's the thing, he knew that I had no savings to move out, and I had no savings to buy a car. What bothers me the most is that all this time, he has been going around telling all our friends and family of this extravagant wedding that he literally thinks he's planning for me and my fiance. But it's only now that he's telling me he can no longer pay for it. He says he has no money, but he literally just bought my sister a car for $50,000 and has regularly bought garbage that he says he needs from auctions for upwards of $60,000 just this year alone. And all of this is just rotting in his warehouse. Even my mom is telling me that she knows he has money. My fiance was thinking maybe he doesn't like her, but I've caught him so many times times telling his friends how amazing she and her family are, and at this point, I just don't know how to feel about my father. So I really need to know, would it be messed up if I just throw a small ceremony and cut him off completely? Because at this point, I really don't know what to do. Okay, this has nothing to do about the wedding or anything like that. I think it all comes down to the fact that he does not want you to leave that job. He wants you to stick around and help his business out for next to nothing. That's the only reason he's treating you the way that he is. Like, think about it for a second. This guy is intentionally keeping your pay low so that you can never save up any money and move out. Like, he's already ruined your chance of getting other jobs. Who's to say he wouldn't keep doing this in perpetuity forever? As far as I'm concerned, it sounds like he's got himself a free slave to do whatever he wants. And that's honestly what's going on here. And just to put your mind at ease, I think you need to cut out the idea that he's gonna somehow pay for your wedding. That is literally never gonna happen, and if it does, I can guarantee you it's gonna be a nightmare. So in my opinion, I think it might be time to move out first, and then try to plan a wedding on your own. Because the way your dad's treating you financially right now is not appropriate. He is literally manipulating you, like, actively right now, and it's very obvious that he will go to any extent to make sure that you're stuck as some poor servant to him, which is something you absolutely do not deserve. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some chill music to put on in the background, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.